I want to rant for a little bit about video game remakes because recently I finished Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. I think that's the name of it anyway. Whatever it is, the new Metal Gear Solid 3 remake. And because I am in two minds about it, and I've been in two minds about some remakes for a while now, and I guess this is like where I'm going to share it. So, having finished MGS Delta, whatever the fuck it's called, um, my biggest complaint with it, and I'll talk about what I liked first. So, what I liked was all the small gameplay improvements, like being able to crouch walk, aiming being a hell of a lot smoother. All the tiny little tweaks that they made to the gameplay, just to make it that little bit better. um, than the original MGS, which had some like slightly janky controls and things like that. And don't get me wrong, I love the original MGS3. I love its jankiness, but in some respect, you do need to update it a little bit. Same way that I believed Resident Evil 4 needed a control upgrade. And it's funny that I bring up the Resident Evil 4 remake because honestly, I think that the difference between the Resi 4 remake and Metal Gear Solid Delta and the Silent Hill 2 remake is so interesting, and it's honestly my biggest complaint. So, what the Resident Evil 4 remake did is it used Resident Evil 4 as its base and then built on top of it to create a similar yet fundamentally different experience. You know what I mean? Like, you hit all the same story beats in the same order, you hit them round about a similar time, but there's bits of like the gameplay and the level design and things like that that are tweaked so that if you've played the original, there's still a point to play the remake, and there's still a point to go back to the original because they are just different games. The thing with Metal Gear Solid Delta is that aside from the new controls, it's not a different game at all. They've not. It's not as if they've used MGS3 as the baseline and then built on top of it. No, they have just given it a graphics and a control upgrade. And don't get me wrong, for some things that is absolutely fine. There are some remakes that I wish. Honestly, there's some remakes I wish didn't exist at all. But like, if you're gonna take a classic game, don't ruin it. Don't make it a worse experience, if that makes sense. I'd rather that they did this, just the graphic and control upgrade, if it still means that MGS3 is fundamentally a fantastic game, which it is. Um, Also, probably like out of all the MGS games, I don't feel like 3 is really the one that needed a remake, especially given the new Master Collection that came out. I think it was last year. Um, I think MGS3 didn't really need the upgrade. If anything, they should have redone the Twin Snakes and or MGS1 in general. That to me is the game that needs a remake, but we'll ignore that for now. So yeah, Metal Gear Solid Delta is like it's a really good game, but that's because the original MGS3 was a good game. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't feel really that good on its own merits. And honestly, at times the faces and everything combined with the updated visuals and things like that kind of make it a little bit uncanny that it's still got a lot of the design sensibilities from the PS2 era. It's almost like in the PS3 era where like the games were still designed like that, but they had that graphical leap. And it's kind of how I felt about Silent Hill: The Short Message. That definitely felt like a PS3 era game running on PS5 level graphics, and in that game, I found it really jarring. And it's kind of the same thing here. Um, and then like also on that note of like remakes and shit like that, Silent Hill 2 remake is ah frankly unnecessary, right? Like to be quite honest, I found it unnecessary. I don't think it needs to exist. I didn't think it needed to exist before it came out. As I said when in my video on Silent Hill 2 a couple of years ago, when the remake was just like announced, it was a trailer. I was skeptically hyped, and at the time when it came out, I thought it was pretty good. It was quite a faithful remake. It changed little bits here and there in the level design. It made callbacks to what it had changed and all that stuff, and I thought it was fine. But I still prefer the original. I still prefer OG Silent Hill 2 on PS2 when compared to this modern take on it. And when you look at the remakes that I've mentioned here, Resident Evil 4, Metal Gear Solid 3, and Silent Hill 2, back when those games came out, right? Because they all came out within a few years of one another. You know, you're talking about kind of like Silent Hill 2 came out in 2001, and then I'm pretty sure Metal Gear Solid 3 and Resident Evil 4 came out in like 2004, 2005 sort of time. And if you look at those games in their original form, they are drastically different experiences. You know what I mean? Like they are so drastically different from each other because you've got like Resident Evil 4 pioneering its over the shoulder camera. You've got MGS3 doing like the really pulled back following camera, not quite over the shoulder. And then you've got Silent Hill 2, which is on that kind of like panning fixed angles kind of thing. And they all look drastically different. But then you look at these remakes and they all feel the same. You know what I mean? Like even in terms of like artistically, they all used to look different. And now they all look so damn similar, and it's kind of frustrating that these games are all like sort of merging. It's essentially what I'm trying to get at is that like all of these games feel like sanded down versions of the originals, and I'm not sure that I'm particularly happy about it. Because and everyone's been saying this like online. A lot of gaming discourse I've seen is people being sick of remakes, and I wasn't part of that crowd until MGS Delta came out. And that for me was the tipping point when like they've changed nothing about it. They've not changed the dialogue, they've not changed the pacing, they've not even changed like slight bits of the level design. It is beat for beat the same game with a graphical upgrade. And if I wanted the same game, I would have gone back and played the original. And MGS Delta seems even more pointless when you consider the fact that the Master Collection came out, giving us all easy access to the original MGS3. Or at the very least, it's like the HD collection, so it's like a form of subsistence, I guess. Or substance, whatever. I can't remember. I can never remember what way around MGS 2 and 3 are with substance and subsistence. But yeah, it just seems like it seems pointless now to remake these games. And honestly, I am slightly worried about the fact that they announced a Silent Hill 1 remake, because looking at what they did to MGS2, where they, or not MGS2, Silent Hill 2, where they took this like expertly crafted thing. And honestly, in my opinion, while they kept a lot of the dialogue and the script, the delivery absolutely fucking killed it. Like, it's just the worst version of Silent Hill 2. And I'm taking HD collection into that as well. I would honestly say that this is probably the worst version, because at the very least, like they're all working from the same script, but at least with the HD collection, you're still playing the original game and you get the atmosphere and everything, and there's the choice to switch back. But with Silent Hill 2 Remake, I think they just wrecked it. And I'm not super pleased with that. But yeah, remakes are fucking pointless now if you're just going to give me the same games again. If you're going to do a remake, start changing some shit. You know, change around some level design. Essentially, I hate note for note remasters. I want reimaginings, if that makes sense. I want like the Resident Evil 2 remake, the Resi 4 remake. Like I want these kind of things. The hell, the Resident Evil 1 remake on GameCube. Like keep the same core but change it a bit. Don't just give me the same fucking thing again. Yeah, that's my rant about video game remakes, and I'm worried about the future of games if this is how the remakes are going to keep coming out, because it feels like we're not reimagining art and putting a new spin on it. We're just delivering the same shit again and again. And personally, I think it's a bit pointless. We should just make the old stuff accessible instead and let people like can we let studios make new games again? Thank you.